Hey guys, just a reminder, nothing I share here is financial advice. This is all based on my own experience, my strategy, and how I see the market. You're responsible for your own trades, so always do your own research, manage your risk, and never trade money you can't afford to lose. This content is meant to help you learn and think for yourself, not to copy or follow blindly. Let's keep it educational and intentional. Good morning, guys. Let's see what we have. So, last time we were looking at the yearly fib time coming up soon, mainly on the 8th of November. And that's where we were looking for some reaction or reversal because price meets time. And best case, of course, is at some support levels. We can see it hit the next lower support level at 100K-ish, and then price ranged a bit over the weekend. And well, the 8th was a weekend day as well, so we see the reaction now. What we need to keep in mind here is that price is hitting the previous support level, which is now a potential resistance level. That means price could need a few attempts to break this level, and that would locally be a rejection, whether it forms a higher low or a new local low. And that's only based on this chart, of course. It's not a prediction of how it will reject or if it will break. It's simply that we have an SR level which was support, and now price is testing it from the lows. For me personally, my targets are higher, at least 112K, and these equal highs. So no matter what price forms here, different scenarios, for me the targets are higher, so I don't really care much what kind of structure we get here to trap more people into shorts. Now we switch to the next chart we were looking at, the daily cycle chart, where I'm tracking the touches of the level and waiting for a signal to flash. Here on the first touch, where we had a nice bounce, we were also watching the amount of signals because all previous bottoms had at least 4 successful touches of the level. So it was possible to range or to make steps down like the previous examples. Or we get something new, of course. Now we saw another 2 signals flash here at the lows, so that's already 3 signals. But we have to be aware of a 4th buy signal as well. Sure, we can also have a rise, but unless this price breaks above these equal highs, we have to consider that price could print the next buy signal, which means touching that level again. Now we switch to the weekly chart with the Bollinger Bands and the weekly EMA cloud. This is a simple chart. Every time we see a touch of the Bollinger Band low, usually it's a candle with a negative close or a sweep of that level where a lot of fear is behind it and the sentiment is very bearish. You can backtest it and remember what people were saying when price was at these levels. In my journal, I always note sentiment, and it's often extremely bearish with people looking for lower, mostly based on emotion, not real technical analysis. So I'd say we forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. Haha. Anyway, we can see every time it touches the level, often it's a red candle, and we get a sweep of it or a close below it. We had 20 touches and 17 had a bounce afterwards, and only 3 failed. If we also look at the weekly EMA cloud I added, we can see that all losses happened below the EMA. Yes, if I add that to the strategy, then a lot of good trades would be filtered out as well, like all the longs below the EMA. But it also filters out all the losses, which makes it actually a 100% success rate strategy, because then we would have no losses. Sure, that's not financial advice, and in the future this may change, but for now, all setups that happened above the EMA had a rise, and for now, price is above the EMA. So for me, it's clear that I go with that strategy, and even if I lose it, will be rare. That's not deep statistics, of course, just a simple data point, no risk management included here. Just raw stats. Okay, now the last chart we were looking at is the bearish EMA cross on the weekly and on the CME chart on the 5-day. Here we can see price confirmed across, and based on history, we always saw price revisiting the lower EMA afterwards. On some time frames, a high hit rate, and on some, it has a 100% hit rate in the entire history of Bitcoin. So unless that changes, I have to go with the data I have, and that's another 100% hit rate strategy that I show you. And by the way, I trade a few more myself. If you want to trade one of them with me, you can join the copy trading. And if you want to trade the other one, the rabbit box, you can join the Patreon and you get the strategy for free as long as you stay in the group. It's my 100% hit rate strategy for spot. And yes, I also trade this one you see here. So what you see is more or less my entries on spot, but this target is way higher at 125K. Now, moving forward, we can see that the EMA target is at 99.545K now, and that level technically would be hit as it stands now. But we should keep in mind it's a moving target, and while sometimes it gets hit faster, sometimes it takes longer. For example, last time it took 4 weeks to touch. Looking at the CME chart, we can see the target is a bit lower, mainly at 99.244 and change. Now we looked at all these charts where we have bearish and bullish targets. For me, as said, 112K is a high hit rate target, so for me the plan remains the same. I'm looking for take profit higher, and if price comes down first, then I will add to the position. We know price can come lower because we have the stats for that from the EMA target, so it's not my personal wish, but people can do what they want, of course. I just show the chart, and we're both looking at the same chart, but somehow people get different views even though they look at the same thing. Anyway, for me, I know we have a statistical chance to hit the lower level and also the higher one. So my plan was to average down, similar to my rabbit box strategy, which I also trade. So what you see here is similar to my spot entries there, but that target is way higher at 125K. And now let's have a look at the local levels and see what we have for today, or which levels I take profits and where I look for a potential hedge again. Now looking at the monthly stats, we can see the low was made in the average time window, the time window we were looking at from the November stats video. It was also made perfectly at the weekly cycle time. So that means usually we don't want to see a new low formed after the average time window. And often when that happens, we can see another bigger leg down. For now, we know that price could make a new low based on the EMA target lower, but it doesn't have to happen now. So while it's a target down there, I'm not really trading it or shorting at support. For me, if I would look for a short hedge, that would be at the same level as planned before, around 118 to 120K. That would be a rise into this level while having a bearish target below us, which would be a potential confluence for shorting down to the EMA target. Snag it. Until then, I let the market do what it wants here. For me, my trade is the first take profit at 112K. If price decides to come down lower first, then I would add to the position. Now today we have Monday, and as usual, I wait for the Monday range to be formed. But until then, we can mark out a few levels, the weekly open and a local OB that we have here, and see what we have on the lower time frames. So for today, the average loss sits exactly at the daily SR level. In the best case, if price comes down there, I would first like to see the Monday range formed and then go from there. If I see a sweep of the Monday lows into some support, that would be a potential setup for me. But keeping in mind that we have poor lows and a target lower, which means if there is no setup, I would need to wait either for the lower target or for a reclaim of the Monday range. And that's basically the simple plan for now. I'm still long because that was the plan. And I also showed the reasons in the previous videos with the HTF support level, the daily cycle level, and other confluences like time that we had here, targeting that upper level while taking profit on the way up at 112K. In the best case, we get a higher low here while it forms the Monday range. And if we get an SFP of it, that would be a new setup and continuation towards the higher levels. If it fails, then only then I look for the lower targets at the equal lows and the EMA target. That's it, simple and clear. If something changes, I'll update it in Telegram or also in the Discord channel. If you want, you can join. Have a nice day, and see you in the next one.